Hey, this is Fernando Bühring from the band Ater. You're listening to the Brutally Delicious podcast.
One, two, three, four. The Brutally Delicious Podcast. The Brutally Delicious Podcast. The Brutally Delicious Podcast. The Brutally Delicious Podcast.
Thank you, my friend, for taking the time. I appreciate it. Stay safe on the road. God, stay safe.
Thank you too.
Be well.
Thank you. Have a good
Cheers.
one.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye.
Ooh.
Hey there. Hey,
Hey, how are you, my friend?
I'm good. How are you?
Good to see you.
Good. Nice to meet you.
So, if I'm reading correctly, you're out in California now?
At the moment, I'm in Santiago, Chile.
Oh, you are? Okay. I know that's where you were from. I thought it's so that you had moved out to LA.
And then I moved back recently after the whole pandemic stuff.
Oh,
I had
nice.
to move. I had to move out of California. Yeah.
You like it better back where you are?
At the moment, I'm enjoying it. I missed it. I lived abroad for about 7 years, so it's nice to be back.
I think, not that I think, I know that metal fans are pretty rabid in Central and South America. More
Yeah,
so
that's
than the
definitely.
United States, right?
It's very true. Yeah, very energetic shows, and the crowds just go crazy over here.
I know I talk to a lot of people and they all say the same thing. They get there and the South American and the Central American crowds are just absolutely nuts. And I don't know why that is. You have any idea?
Not really. I think it probably started back in the 80s and 90s when like bands would rarely come up down here. Maybe like once every 10 years or something like that. You could see your favorite bands, and whenever you had a chance to go see them, you would just give your everything and more because there was the only opportunity.
All right,
So
fair enough. That
it
makes
just
sense.
makes you appreciate it more, I think, especially the live music experience. And I think that's why now that there's more stuff coming, that was sort of kept in our culture, and we still like are very rabid fans.
What's the scene like in Santiago? Is it pretty good?
As far as local scene,
Yeah.
I think there's a rebirth right now. After the pandemic, everything was absolutely frozen, but it seems like it gave birth to like a whole new generation of musicians and new bands,
Oh,
which is
good.
really exciting. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, cool. Let's talk about Ater and the new record Somber is due out on the 19th. So 2 weeks from today, right?
Yep.
Now that it's complete, how do you feel about it? And are you satisfied with the outcome?
Yeah, I mean, it's to be honest with you, the album has been done for a while, and we took our time in like perfecting the mix and getting the right mastering engineer. We tried a couple guys before going with Ted Jensen in the end. So we are very, very happy with the product and with the way it came out in the end. Yeah.
So you went with like one of the masters of the business, right? The master in mastering. How did you
The
end up
master
with
in
it?
mastering.
Yeah.
Actually, there's many records that he has done that I love the way they sound.
Mhm.
But the last Decapitated album, um, that came out a couple years ago, produced by David Castillo and mastered by Ted Jensen. It just that combo sounded absolutely killer to me, and it just translates everywhere. It's loud, but it's still like dynamic, and you have like lots of bass. It's just very live sounding, like very not live in terms of like it wasn't recorded live or anything like that, but feels like a live record that is breathing, and I love that. So that sort of motivated me to hit him up, and he had a calendar spot available, and we did it.
Jump on it. Nice.
Turned out great.
I was listening to it this morning, prepping for everything, and it sounds fantastic. Yes, it's big, and I guess the word I'm going to use is emotional because that's going to lead me to my next question. Right, this is heavy, heavy stuff, and it's big, but it's also super emotional.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, you could see it in the title as Somber as well, but is there something you want your fans to take away from after listening to this record or anything by Ater?
Um, well, I certainly made like I wrote those songs in a very after a very dark period of my life, and for me that was a way to clean up what I was going through and sort of to transform it, transmute it into something there's something else, not just suffering, you know. And although it came from that, I think the way I enjoy more metal, you know, from other bands, like when I hear stuff that I find emotional, that stirs my emotions, that like stuff that's within me. It just helps me cope with it. You know, it's like you're processing it because it makes you feel this stuff, and after it's done, you're like you feel better. You know.
Yeah.
So what I can say is that I hope that if any fans also find this an emotional record, that I hope that they relate to it and like find some relief out of it, like the way I do with other bands. Yeah.
I think that's the beautiful thing about metal and especially extreme metal, right? I mean, no matter what's going on, it's chaotic, it's
Yeah.
heavy, it's all kinds of shit. But at the end of the day, it resonates with a lot of listeners. What band does it for you the most? Like in the trenches, who are you listening to?
In terms of emotional, like strength and stuff, and how strong those feelings are for me when I listen to it, definitely Viljarta, and I think Septic Flesh also with how epic their music is and everything. It and some albums, some of their older albums for me are just the so super emotional, like
And then they hold
Communion.
memories forever, right? Because every time you hear them now, then music transports you back to that spot, right?
Exactly. Like I remember when I discovered Septic Flesh, like I was like kind of depressed and going through a rough patch, and they really helped me out, like getting out of that. It was awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's a good
So
memory.
for me, it's like Machine Head is probably my go-to.
There you
Whatever,
go. Yeah, awesome.
and that's my thing. So, um, did you write? I know you're the multi-instrumentalist kind of guy, but did you do this whole record yourself, or is this was it a band effort?
Most of it I did, but the song number 4, Through the Portal, that was a collective effort, which we all wrote in the rehearsal space. And as far as lyric goes, I wrote everything but Ignis Immortalis, which the guitar player Josh, he wrote that one. And yeah, so a vast majority of the material was done by me and the lyrics too, but not all of it.
So when you guys are writing, and I don't know if this really applies to this sort of music, but are you writing with the stage in mind, like how the song is going to come across live, or are you
Not
writing the song
really,
for the song's sake?
not really. We just go by feel and try to make whatever we would like to listen to that's not hasn't been done yet. And after analyzing the songs when they're in the demo stage, we kind of discuss like, oh, that one could be really good live, or this one could be the single, or this and that. So you evaluate them all, of course, but we don't make them thinking with that like beforehand.
Okay.
This is Krista Makes, guitarist and vocalist for Less Than Jake, and host of Krista Makes a Podcast, a songwriting podcast where every week I'm joined by an amazing guest to break down the writing, recording, and release of one iconic song from their career. In our giant evergreen back catalog of episodes, we've had rock legends such as Dee Snider and Huey Lewis, punk rock favorites like Mark Hoppus, Fat Mike, and Brett Gurewitz, and up-and-coming artists of today such as Liz Stokes of the Beths and Genesis Owusu. We've had guests from all genres and styles of music, and I guarantee that if you peruse our back catalog, you'll see several episodes that'll make you say, man, I gotta hear that. Whether you're a fan of music or a creator of music yourself, you'll take away a whole new appreciation for the songs you know and love. Krista Makes a Podcast is available for free on all the places you could possibly listen to podcasts, and new episodes come out every Monday.
So when you guys are in the studio, then you said you did at least one of them live. Did you sorry, my phone just went off.
No
Were you
problem.
able to bounce the ideas off each other like the old traditional way? Or are you still emailing stuff back and forth?
It was a combination with that song that I mentioned. The whole first half, we just got together the rehearsal space and we just agreed on a tempo, basically. And Stefan, the drummer, just started beating the drums and toms, and a pattern emerged out of it. And then I got the notes with the bass, and I sort of chose the notes. I told Josh, like, "Hey, this is the notes," and he actually made the riff of like the main riff in that song, and that's how that one came to life. And then we kind of like made half a song that day, and then I took that home and sort of like bounced ideas of how to finish the song with the rest of them.
Right.
So it was both ways, yeah.
Because I think sometimes when you do it the old school way, like lightning strikes, like you just said, and you get that sort of organic vibe to it, and it's much different than anything you could email back and forth.
I gotta say, people that have been listening to the album before it has come out, like they all that's a standout song because it's a little different than the others, obviously, but it's also like one of our favorites in the band. Like it, we all feel special about that song.
You think it's because you all just were together when it was birthed?
I think so. But I think it's also just one of the best tunes in the album.
Right. And that's hard to do, right? I mean, it's hard to pick one of your babies.
Yeah.
I also think, and I appreciate like when bands go ahead and do full length records instead of, singles that everybody's been doing these days, because I think there's a whole lost art form in sequencing and stuff, right? Because especially with this emotional music, you have to kind of create the ebbs and flows of the whole experience, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely a challenge, but I gotta say when I'm writing the songs that comes naturally. I think by
Really?
both influence, yeah, by influence because like I'm very influenced by bands like Viljarta who have that like almost to a formula, like the way that they bring intensity and chaos and then release, with like clean and ambient parts.
Right.
I love that, and I've been doing that too for a while, and I think it comes natural now. But I wanted a lot of that in this album, as much as possible.
Yeah, I mean, I think it shows. And like I said, when listening to it, it takes you on a sort of journey. I don't want to say an adventure, but it's definitely a journey, right? From, the beginning to the end. And I think that's the way
Yeah,
records should be. That's the way it was when we were growing up. That's the way, you sat down and listened to the record start to finish and you felt it. You read the lyrics. You did the whole thing.
yeah, I agree, and that way it was like deliberately made like that because I also personally I enjoy album experiences like putting a CD and listening top to bottom.
Right.
It's still my favorite thing, my favorite musical experience that's not live music. Um, and I wanted to contribute to that, to make more of that, and it's definitely designed for as an experience, as a top to bottom listen.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah. I think a lot of that is missing because I know people like my son's age, they want the 30 seconds and the one song, and they're already thinking about what's next and not absorbing, what you did or what the artist
yeah.
did, whatever.
I think music honestly deserves more attention than
Yes.
just 30 seconds,
Throw
or
away 30
whatever.
seconds, right? Yeah. I mean, because in the end, you're putting years of your life and your soul into the record, and then, somebody's judging it in 30 seconds and moving on, and it's very strange.
It is, yeah.
Are you planning on taking this out on the road?
Definitely, yeah. We are working the last little details on a Latin American tour that is should to happen in like August, September. And then, we have an open calendar, and we encourage all booking agents to hit us up right now because we want to take this out everywhere possible.
Yeah. Is it going to be the same band? I know most of this
Live?
is you have this. Yeah. We have a whole different setup.
No. I mean, as of now, yeah, it's gonna be the same lineup that you hear on the album. Hmm.
And then hopefully the US, because we'd love to see you over this way.
Of course, like since two of the band members are from the US, I think it was gonna come naturally. Yeah.
Does that make it easier to get visas and to do it, or is that?
Well, basically, what it means. Also, we are just a three-piece, so it's not a lot of visas. But in this case, it's only one. Only I would need it, and that makes it a lot easier for sure.
Yeah, because I know in speaking to people, like the U.S. is notoriously hard to get a touring visa.
Definitely, I did have an artist visa back a few years back when I was working in recording studios in Los Angeles, but I would have to renew it, and the main challenge would be the expense right now, more than the requirements, because I already had it. But at least I can consider that it's going to be just one of the visas instead of three, or
right. That makes it so much easier, right?
It's a lot easier.
So that brings me to the end of my questions. Did I miss anything you wanted to cover?
Not really. I mean, you had great questions. We have the album, like you said, is coming out on the 19th.
Give us
2 weeks from now.
Yeah.
Of course. We are on Instagram is where we are most active at Ater_dark. And then on Facebook at Ater Metal. And definitely check our YouTube out. I encourage everyone to go check our latest music videos. We put a lot of effort into them, and we'll love you to check them out.
Perfect. And 2 weeks from today, get to the I don't know if record stores exist anymore, but get somewhere and pick up the record, right? Or the download.
Exactly. At least the streaming is going to be out everywhere, and there will be physical editions too, CD and vinyl, and those will be announced shortly.
I'll send you the info.
Awesome.
Thank you for everything. Good luck with the record.
Thank you so much.
Good
Thank you for the invite.
Yep.
All right. Nice to meet you.
Yep. Bye.
Hey, what's up? This is Blake Weiland. I'm the host of the Tone Mob Podcast. It's a show where I interview guitar people about guitar stuff. We talk about their pedals, their amps, their accessories, their preferences, all that stuff, as well as a healthy dose of whatever comes up. Topics have ranged from aliens to addiction and anywhere in between. Oh yeah, and pizza. We're definitely going to be talking about pizza. So get the show wherever you're listening to this podcast at. Just search The Tone Mob in your search bar and it will pop right up. Come join us. We're having a lot of fun. Thanks for checking it out.